Yeah, firstly, Hope, the social media boycott this weekend, I just wanted to get you the feel of the importance of this campaign to you personally first, but also as a club, of course.
Well, I don't use social media, Tim, so I'm probably the wrong person to ask in terms of me personally. But I think the campaign, I think it's really important. I think it sends a really clear message that those responsible for football or in football are fed up with some of the abuse that's happened online. So I really think it's important to take a united front. And hopefully the social media platforms will take the responsibility and start, I guess, policing it in the manner in which it should be policed, because clearly that isn't happening from my understanding. I don't use it, so I don't profess to know the ins and outs of it. But some of the abuse that I have seen or that has been muted, it's really important that those platforms understand that perhaps in football it's not accepted anymore, and if it continues, then I guess there could be further repercussions going forward. There basically needs to be proper sanctions for those people that use the platform to abuse others. Is just not something we want to see, ever.
Indeed, and you talk about people coming together. It's not just football, is it? It's a whole range of different sports and sporting bodies coming together for a common cause as well. That in itself is a show of strength and unity and common purpose, which is good to see.
Absolutely, good to see and necessary. I think if these sort of actions aren't taken, then the assumption is everything's okay, and it clearly isn't. I think everybody knows that. So those authorities that own the social media platforms, really need to consider taking further action and proper sanctions to protect people. I mean, it's a wonderful thing. Social media, it has so many positives, but those negative bits that have crept in, certainly in the men's game, coming more and more into the women's game, cannot and should not be tolerated.
To the football this weekend, 2 matches left in the WSL, and I guess mathematically any positive result for you at Reading on Sunday will guarantee that first ever top half finish. What would that mean to you and the club?
Yeah, fantastic. Obviously, we want to keep looking up. As I've said before, we're striving to be better with every game. I must say it's a really nice position to be in, where we're not, fighting at the bottom of the table to stay in the league. I'd rather be fighting at the top to try and win the league. We're obviously in the middle of it, middle of the table. But yes, every game we play, we want to win. If we win, it takes us further up, doesn't it? So that's what we're aiming for.
It sounds obvious, but I guess the message is try and finish strongly at Reading and at home to Bristol City. Send that message and take momentum, I guess, into next season as well.
Yeah, I think we knew we were safe before this weekend's game. We knew we were safe playing against Arsenal. With the good run of form, we knew we were going to be okay. I think it is just about standards. I think we're looking for performances. If you set those standards and you perform, you end up doing well. I think we did really well last week against Arsenal, probably the best we've played. Pressure's off, so it allowed us a little bit more freedom and fun. And we want to continue in that vein. Do well, perform well, be hard to beat, try and win the game.
Finally, for me, you mentioned you're obviously already planning for next season. Will it be very much the strongest 11 for the last 3 matches, or is this a chance to make sure you've really looked at everyone and help make those decisions about who you keep and perhaps who you don't for the next campaign?
I think it's a bit of both, to be honest, Tim. I think we've got end of a long season. There's lots of niggles. There's lots of things suddenly in training. Players are pulling up. It's been a long, hard season. So we're trying to balance it out. We have to protect some players. We don't want players to come away with long-term injuries, but obviously still want to give players minutes and see how they perform. But essentially it is about winning the game, and we'll manage it accordingly, depending on the group of players that are fit and available to play.
Good luck against Reading, Hope. Thank you for the season.
Yeah. Thank you.
I'm here. Hello. Hi, Hope.
Hello.
Hi, good to see you. I'm good, thank you. Yourself?
Good, yeah, not bad, Juliet. Thank you.
Good. Just picking up on your comment there to Tim about you say you don't use social media. Is that something that you've made a conscious decision to do because of the way it's the abuse that can be on there? I mean, is that a conscious decision that you made?
Yeah, conscious decision. Never. When Twitter and all those things started, and there's such good platforms generally. They can spread so much good. It's a really good resource of information, but I just didn't want to be part of the negative side of it, and I chose not to very early on. And I will continue in that vein. Yeah, just and I've seen some of the terrible messages and some of the things that people post to people. It's unbelievable, and I just didn't want to be part of any of that. So yes, a conscious decision.
What do the players say to you about how they feel when they have read something on social media about them, or something about the squad, or just something that is very harmful to them? What do they tell you about the impact on them as players?
To be honest, Julia, I don't engage in those conversations because they know I don't use social media. They probably talk to each other more about it, or indeed, the welfare person. I think we try to educate, the pitfalls of social media, but the positive side of it. And so long as they're aware of that and they can manage that, which is a great thing. And if they need any support around it, then we have those people in place. But talking to me personally, no, because they know I don't use it, basically.
It's such a shame, really, isn't it, that this, well, more than a shame that this is going on, because actually for women's football, we need social media to be a force for good, don't we? To promote the game, to push the game out there to a wider audience. What would you say in terms of how the sort of good it can do for the women's game? I mean, how positive a force can it be for the women's game?
Yeah, you say it far more eloquently than I do, Julia. It's a force for good, isn't it? I think it raises awareness of the women's game. It's a platform for the women's game. It advertises the women's game. All the information you need around women's football, not just in this country, but globally, is there. And if it's used in the right way, it sends such a positive message. It is so engaging. You can engage with, young girls can engage with their favourite players. Players can engage with each other and keep in contact. Advertising, games that are held perhaps in the home stadium, which is happening this weekend for, I can't remember who's playing in the home stadium, but it's happening, isn't it? And it's a way of selling the game and the product. It's so important. But equally, I think it's really important that a clear message is sent that the abuse that people suffer is not acceptable and should never be tolerated. And it's that, isn't it? It's a real good, a force for good, but it's a real force for evil as well. And if we can cut that out, I mean, what a great platform. Great platform. It's just really unfortunate that some small-minded people choose to hide behind something to abuse others.
Absolutely. I think that's a really good way of summing it up, is that it is this balance, isn't it? Just moving on to the game, just 3 points separate you and Reading. How important is it that you take all those 3 points this weekend and maintain that position in the table?
We want to maintain the position. We obviously want to beat them. I think obviously they want to beat us. We know that. We want to, I guess, prove to ourselves and prove to them that we are more than capable. We recognise it's going to be a really tough game, as it always is with Reading. I don't think we've actually beaten them in the league. That's something we want to try and achieve. But as I said before, we're looking for performances. It's being consistent with the performances. I think that, long term will get us what we want. Now, we played very well last week against a very good Arsenal side that beat us, but the performance and the consistency was really good. And we're hoping to marry that, if not better it, this weekend. And if we do that, we've got every chance of getting 3 points.
They are, as you say, a very difficult side to beat. 3-1 defeat to them back in December. But would you say the team has moved on since then? I mean, obviously we've seen some very good performances, some very strong performances over the last couple of months. Are you in a different place now as a squad than you were, say, back in December?
Yeah, I think the table suggests that. I think the run of form, 4 games unbeaten, suggests that. I think we're playing better than we were before Christmas, which is always a good thing. And I think the most important thing, we can play with some freedom and fun. We're not in that pressure pot at the bottom of the table. When I say that, really thankful, because it's really difficult for those teams that are down there fighting to stay in the league. But the squad are in a good place, and they should be, and they would be, given the fact that we are in a relatively good position. But we want to continue to look up and want to perform and want to win the game.